This film takes place 250 years ago, and unfortunately, things haven't changed. It was impressible how I could identify the scars of colonialism that are being reproduced in Brazilian society today in another dimension. And I identified Joaquim, this character who dreams of independence. It's impressive how this dream of independence leads to a frustrated conspiracy. And I started to imagine our Brazil today. I started to think about Brazil nowadays, looking for a fairer society. The Portuguese arrived to Brazil with a culture. They imposed the language. They stole land from the Indians. They promoted slavery, brought Africans to Brazil. So they promoted a dehumanized society. And their idea was to exploit the land. The British and the Spanish went to the colonies with their families, whereas the Portuguese did not go with their family. They went there to exploit the land. And this process is ingrained in the mentality of people who started to be born in Brazil. In the state of Minas Gerais, we had over 200,000 people going backland looking for gold. It was a period of a lot of wealth, and that's the problem of capitalism. Where there's wealth, there's extreme poverty. We as actors, we try to adapt to what is being proposed. And we had a huge privilege of being able to remain on set. We got there a month. No, we stayed there for a whole month. So we lived that landscape for an entire month. And I think we experienced something that didn't change much over the centuries. I think the landscape is the same that Joaquim encountered in the 18th century. So we were able to integrate into this landscape and realize the harshness of this backland. What I like about cinema is that once the film is over, the film belongs to its audience, and the audience can do with it what it wants. I started making films going to a cinema club. And once the films were over, I met with friends and we spoke about the films we had just seen. One of the aims of cinema is to make historic revisionism. And this film touches on a wound which we are trying to heal. As Portuguese, never really stood up to the fact that we promoted slavery and corruption. And I hope the film provokes enough polemical debates. We teach our children in Portugal that we only put different peoples in touch, which is a terrible lie, a dangerous lie. And given what is happening in the world right now, it's time to delve into our history. And this is precisely what this film does. What I wanted to bring to the screen are themes that are very current, things that I face on my everyday life, things that are connected to survival, to resistance, and to strategy in order to survive in a world where my body, my color is looked down on. I face prejudice on a daily basis, and to have the opportunity to play a character that promotes a revolution and to be able to give some input to the film and to see how Joaquim had a humane streak was a real privilege. It still is, actually. I feel I'm representing loads of brothers and sisters and fellow artists who did not have the opportunity I'm having today. So I'm here not only as my capacity of someone who comes from Guinea, from the Balanta tribe, as someone who's also Portuguese. I showed a history that portrays part of my own history, of the history of all these people. I've been living in Brazil for 7 years. It's a country that's given me lots of work. I've been growing, I've been developing, I've been dealing with different issues that I did not know of in the past. And I did not know anything about my ancestors. I grew up in Portugal, but it's in Brazil that I discovered myself as an African. And this film touches upon what I've been experiencing over the last years. this grain of an emerging revolution that has been happening in the 18th century. So the development of this revolutionary process, things are developing. And to be able to watch a film like that, for which I worked and for which Isabél worked, and that you have lots of other Afro-descendants is something good, and I think Portugal should follow this lead. And Berlin being the most open festival in the world, it is wonderful to be able to dialogue with the audience. In Berlin, we have people who are curious, who want to understand the geographical and historical reality of various countries that are represented during the festival. And this really motivated me to carry on shooting films. And